RuneScape, a game birthed in 2001, that went through multiple changes, resulting in its popularity being killed off in 2012. However, the gods of Gielinor would not give up and actually revive the franchise in 2013, releasing the second version of RuneScape, based on a popular 2007 build of the game. Somehow, over 24 years later, it's more alive than ever, having the biggest player count to date in 2025. But how did a point-and-click MMO with graphics from your dad's childhood become one of the most played games today? To understand what the fuck happened, we need to go back to Gielinor in 2001.
WCF, mate.
Originally released in 2001, RuneScape was built by two brothers in their parents' house. Over time, it evolved from a janky Java game called Devious Mud into a full-blown fantasy MMO, complete with quests, skilling, PvP, and a thriving economy. That might actually be crashing at the moment, but more on that later. Membership was introduced on February 27th, 2002. This would help cover the dramatic rise in costs due to how fast the player base was growing, helping pay for staff, updates, but most importantly, the growing cost of servers at the time. RuneScape would go through its first overhaul on the 29th of March 2004, as its new version would be released demoting the OG game to RuneScape Classic. As, well, they kept both versions running simultaneously. Those players who were members at the time could experience the game in a beta version from the 1st of December 2003. Players could choose whether they transferred their gear and stats, or just started fresh as they dove into a reawakened, retextured world. More detailed than ever, it received generally positive response from the player base, now offering more skills, quests, minigames, and monsters.
I got papers, blunts, bongs, all the ingredients to make a hot
RuneScape
pie.
RuneScape Classic would slowly fade away as a distant memory for the majority of the player base. As it suffered decline in popularity, nearly 5,000 bots would be banned, dropping the player count significantly further. The 15th of January 2006 would mark a day in RuneScape history, as players who logged in between the 4th of August 2005 and 15th of January 2006 could play RuneScape Classic. However, they also changed it so all other accounts would be permanently disabled, not allowing anyone else to experience the Classic mode ever again. Well, that's until the 11th of November 2009. RuneScape Classic was temporarily reopened for a 2-week period for subscribing RuneScape 2 members. If players access RuneScape Classic during this 2-week period,
providing their username and password,
their account became Classic enabled, meaning they would have a privilege to continue playing RuneScape Classic after the reopening was over. Even if a player's membership lapsed, they would permanently be
Classic enabled
and could access it during their membership periods. On the 1st of June 2010, RuneScape Classic was temporarily reopened for another 2-week period, becoming the second reopening. This continued to bring in new members, so on the 14th of September 2011, RuneScape Classic was temporarily reopened once again for another 2-week period. This would be the third reopening, and the last. Jagex revealed a few weeks prior that this would be the last ever chance to access the Classic game, and at this point, only 3 RuneScape Classic servers were remaining. While it was now actually the last reopening, it would be 5 years later in 2016 before RuneScape Classic would be reopened again. On the 11th of January, RuneScape Classic would temporarily reopen for subscribing RuneScape 2 members as part of RuneScape's 15th anniversary celebration. The window would then extend to the end of 2016 due to how high in popular demand this was. The sign-in window didn't actually close. Without notice, it secretly remained open until the game's closure on the 6th of August 2018. So finally, in 2018, Jagex closed down RuneScape's Classic for good. They lied about the reasons in doing so, as they stated it was due to server costs, the massive botting problem, and the insane amount of game-breaking glitches. And, well, yes, this was a reason, but it was actually because of the European Union. Due to their new GDPR rules, companies dealing with EU users had to update their systems to meet strict privacy standards. And well, Jagex just didn't want to do this, so Classic, as well as some of their other titles, would all shut down permanently, as it was just inevitable by this point, if the requirements were never going to be met. Stepping away from Classic mode, finally, and heading back to RuneScape 2. In 2012, everything changed. Jagex pushed away a major update to balance the combat triangle, but in fact, completely altered the game's identity. They called it EOC, the evolution of combat. Players called it shit, as it wasn't well received. Of course, the game had gone through a multitude of updates in the past, but this was like nothing before. The old charm was gone, skills felt different, PvP was ruined, and, well, the magic, it was lost. After thousands of players quit and begged for a rollback, Jagex did something nobody expected. In 2013, they re-released the 2007 version of RuneScape after a player vote. If 50,000 people wanted it, they'd bring it back, and they got a staggering 400,000 votes. And so, old school RuneScape, better known as OSRS, was born. What started as a nostalgic throwback exploded. Not only did Jagex maintain it, they expanded it with new quests, bosses, and entire regions, all approved by a player voting system, of course. This system would allow the players to feel more involved and heard by the mod team. The player base was now happy, but the path wasn't easy. Both games continue to run simultaneously and are still being heavily grinded upon today. Gielinor is a world where RuneScape takes place. It was not originally formed by mortals, but was shaped by a god named Guthix. Guthix discovered an empty, lifeless world after the Elder Gods had created it as part of their cycle of world creation. The Elder Gods are essentially the architects of the universe, but they didn't design Gielinor for mortals. It was more like a raw creation, destined to eventually collapse. Guthix arrived just after the Elder Gods had moved on and reshaped Gielinor into a place where mortals could live. He terraformed it, bringing balance to nature, and then invented different races from across the cosmos to settle there. Guthix is known as the god of balance. Unlike other gods, he had a little interest in ruling or being worshipped. After bringing humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, and many other races into Gielinor, Guthix went into a long slumber, leaving mortals to live freely. I mean, he sounds like a pretty chill god. Just gave us all a place to call home, rolled a fat one, and had an eternal rest. My man! He believed no single god should dominate, and when he awoke later to find gods waging wars, he enacted the Edicts of Guthix, forbidding gods from directly interfering with Gielinor, though they often broke or twisted rules, which I'll cover in just a moment. But if you want a more fully in-depth lore video that I may or may not create, please let me know down below if it interests you. The ages of RuneScape are often defined by the greed of the godly conflicts that occurred throughout time. The first age, known as the Age of Creation, we've already covered, as Guthix shaped Gielinor and brings life mostly kind of peaceful. I mean, we're talking about humanity here. The second age, Zaros, the Empty Lord, rises and builds a powerful empire with the Margaret servants. Zamarok is then betrayed by Zaros, becoming a god himself. This starts the Age of Strife. Gods and their armies fight for dominance. Entire landscapes are scarred and destroyed in these battles for power. Eventually, Guthix awakens and banishes the gods with his edicts. No godly interference. Civilizations of mortals rebuild and grow. Towns reform, and the lands begin to prosper once again. discovery of rune essence and the power of runes, which revolutionized magic. Magic in RuneScape relies on runes, which are crystallized fragments of the world's magical energy. The discovery of rune essence during the 5th Age would allow the mortals to create their own runes instead of relying on the ancient dwindling supplies of the land. Runes are tied to the Elder God's original creation. Their energy comes from the world's lifeblood itself. And the act of runecrafting is mortals tapping into this ancient power. Each rune type represents a fundamental magical force.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
Avatar! Sorry, mind, body, blood, blah blah blah, chaos, etc, etc, which each of the players can create. Some races, like the Marjarat, have an innate magical power, so this rune-based magic power allows humans and other races to compete on divine scale. Before rune essence was discovered, magic was rare and dangerous. Afterwards, it spread widely, shaping the modern Gielinor civilizations. This would be where the story of RuneScape would begin. However, the 6th Age, in which would be RuneScape 3. Gods would return after Guthix's death, leading to a new divine war. This is where the two versions of RuneScape would part ways, allowing the players to experience a new storyline with each version, as old school RuneScape didn't officially follow this age. The conflict between gods, mortals and magic drives nearly all of RuneScape's history, allowing you, the player, to shape your own, leading to where old school RuneScape takes place. In old school RuneScape, players create a character and are dropped into a medieval world of Gielinor. There's no class system, not like the classic one. No forced path. You can become a master fisherman, an elite warrior, a billionaire merchant, or just a guy who chills at the GE trying to buy a girlfriend. That's me! Grind your way through skills, from mining and smithing to runecrafting, thieving, and even farming. Every XP point feels like an achievement. Well, that's what I keep telling myself anyway. Quests like Dragon Slayer, Monkey Madness, and Recipe for Disaster have become truly legendary, not just for their challenge, but their creativity. This time, instead of running back and forth between NPCs, you can now do it whilst turning into a monkey. What else do you need in life? One of the reasons old school RuneScape is thriving in 2025 is thanks to Runelite, a third-party client that revolutionised how people play the game. I mean, there's just some plugins that some people can't live without. However, things didn't actually start off that way. Jagex actually planned to sue Runelite. But why? Going back to when RuneScape birthed into old school RuneScape in 2013, anyone who wanted to play the game had to use the basic client, either via the browser or from downloading it from their website. Things on this client were so basic that you would even have to go to the settings tab just to toggle run. This was all due to a small team of 3 members. Quality of life updates would just have to wait. I mean, this was also due to the fact that they didn't even have their own development tools yet, meaning there wasn't really anything they could do even if they wanted to. A year went by and other clients had been released, such as OS Buddy, which I'll come back to just in a mo. But this is where Adam would come in, starting the development of Runelite, as he didn't want to pay for all the features of OS Buddy. OS Buddy would lock all its best features behind a paywall, and Jagex, well, they would just overlook this as it was firstly created by Jackmob. Another 2 years went by, and in May of 2016, Adam would go on to release Runelite, which he would leave open source in hope to entice people into using it. Sadly, he only had 500 downloads after 2 years. Just like my YouTube channel had. Until he got his lucky break, as 2 large YouTubers would create videos reviewing his client, showing never seen before features, for free. This would blow the community's minds, as they would scramble to cancel their subscriptions with OS Buddy, and download this new free OP client, Runelite. However, this explosion in popularity would have its drawbacks, as Jagex would now call Adam into their office. Dun dun dun.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Jagex had decided that it had to be shut down. However, they didn't seem to disclose why, even though they would have known why. Obfuscation is a process that Jagex used on their client which makes their code harder to read, which in turn makes it harder for people to create their own bot clients. This is where Jagex would have their issue with Runelite, Due to the open source code, it had publicly released a deobfuscated code and included the deobfuscator. We need to fucking redo that at some point. Of course, this would allow anyone to do what they want with RuneScape's code and create their own bot clients. And well, just say Jagex weren't going to let this slide, giving him the choice: shut it down or we'll shut you down and sue your ass.
You tell him I'm coming! Tell him I'm fucking coming!
Adam offered to close source the client, but had this offer rejected by ModMattK, who was tasked to tell Adam this news. Adam didn't know why this was the case, and just outright refused to do so, as he found out that other clients were not contacted or forced to shut down. So he'd go on to post on Runelite's website telling people about the crazy situation, as he couldn't get his head around why he was being targeted, not even being given the opportunity to make his client close source. Of course, the people would go to Reddit, causing a devastating uproar until Jagex finally explained the reason. Of course, this was all due to the fact that they were sharing the tools used to deobfuscate old school RuneScape's code. Even though this could simply be resolved by closing Z code, and the fact that the other clients actually had their own open source for many years, and even though they had it now closed, they were actively making profit using Z code. Adam, the host and the creator of Runelite, was the only person being targeted. But why? Then, to add insult to injury, OS Buddy would then announce on the same day that Jagex posted about the deobfuscator, players could now upload their own plugins and contribute towards the community doing something similar to what Runelite could do, and that's the whole reason why people love Runelite. So it turns out Jagex were planning on closing down all these other clients, and Jagex had actually come up with a little deal to have with OS Buddy to hand over the client for free. Sounds like some crazy deal. And it turns out this deal had been in the works for some time and would actually really benefit the community. However, due to the growth of Runelite, Jagex panicked, and this is what led to the reason for them to hastily try and close Adam down any means necessary. Things now got complicated, so the deal fell through with OS Buddy, and Runelite was actually saved by the community and able to continue to grow into, well, the thing we love and trust today. And this is the client that the majority of the player base is still using today. And it turns out the only thing he had to do was close source the client, which he offered to do in the first place. Once again, old school RuneScape has been saved. Jagex now welcomes Runelite into the fold, having links to the client, giving the player base the option on what client they wanted to play on. In a game where XP means everything, consuming lives and taking years off your life, all to achieve a 99 in a RuneScape skill, this was once believed to be impossible, making the first to max the skill become a being comparable to a god. And well, Everdred was the first player to ever reach this status. Back before the beloved old school RuneScape, he achieved this within RuneScape Classic, when the world was a much smaller and unforgiving place. Banks were not a thing, and nor was the wilderness. PKing was allowed anywhere within this dangerous version of Gielinor, leaving the players constantly at risk of losing everything. I mean, not having a bank would be hard enough to max any skill, let alone having the entire player base being able to remove you from this mortal realm. However, this wouldn't stop Everdred and his goal. The crafting skill had just been reworked during a May update, and he decided to set his sights on this, which would bode well for Everdred, as the wilderness would open up just a month later in August, giving him a much needed breathing room to achieve his goal. Due to already working on this skill prior to the update, his level was fairly high, and players would flock to him in order to get their hands on the latest jewellery. He even had a forum post stating his location for trading. However, once he reached his goal of crafting all the items he could, he moved on to a new skill. He didn't actually get this to 99. The skill that would grant him his status of God among men was woodcutting. Yes, you heard me correct. Woodcutting would be the skill he chose to max out first. This would be a draining process, due to it taking 3 game ticks just to cut down 1 tree. Luckily, the XP you would earn would scale with your level, making this slightly easier than it seems. On August the 28th, 2001, he finally reached the level of 99 woodcutting, surrounded by his friends, such as Blue Rose 13X, who we'll cover in a mo. This cemented his name in RuneScape history, as the first player to achieve a 99 in the skill, and it just so happened to be woodcutting. I mean, damn, that feels kinda underwhelming. Blue Rose 13X was a player of my own heart. She had a strong passion for mining and smithing, just like myself. Within just a few months, she had level 60 in smithing, placing her rank 1 in the world. She achieved this so quickly due to the support of her clan and her new boyfriend. Due to the lousy bank system and PvP being everywhere, players would seek her aid in making gear in order to survive, resulting in her popularity soaring so much that players even made fan fiction about her. And I could imagine that isn't too safe for YouTube, so we'll leave that there. Lady Killjoy had the highest combat skill in the game, making her the most feared warrior in the lands of Gielinor, as PKing was a massive thing. She dominated the space, looting all the top gear she could get her grubby mitts on. During this time, she would become the first player to achieve 99 in strength and attack shortly after, and would be second to get 99 in hit points. Wanting to fill a void in PKing, she started to write a quest in order to help Jagex and its small team. Andrew actually loved this and set the team to begin work immediately. Although they would greatly change her ideas, the core concept stayed the same, birthing the Family Crest quest, contributing an even bigger part to gaming history that not many people would ever know. So now you do. So go tell your one friend and feel super smug about it. Sadly, this section will drag on if I say too much about each player, so I'll just do a quick speedrun of the remaining iconic players. Zezima, arguably probably the most iconic name in RuneScape history, achieving the first 99 Slayer and being the first player to reach 1 billion XP. Hey Jays, he was the second player to get 200 million XP in all the skills, just after Link's Titan, just because he really enjoyed the game, even though it was never a plan. Sebe has a great interview with him which I'd definitely recommend checking out. Link's Titan, the first player to hit 200 million XP in every skill in old school RuneScape, being the first player to reach 2 billion XP. He took rank 1 from Hey Jays until he stopped playing the game in 2019. These players are legends, with achievements engraved into the game's very history. Entire YouTube videos and Reddit threads are dedicated just to their grinds, so please go through to check them all out for yourself because they're all so interesting. At its lowest point, RuneScape was overrun with bots, gold farmers and account hackers. Entire areas like the Grand Exchange and any farming spots were just filled with ASK scripts grinding 24/7. In response, Jagex launched BotWatch and began implementing machine learning detection systems, wiping out tens of thousands of bots every month. Woo! Today, while bots still exist, the game devs have made a huge strides in keeping the game clean. Just not amazing ones. And players can actually enjoy a fair amount of the gameplay again, which is pretty good. I mean, even YouTubers such as KempQ are in constant contact with Jagex, and this really helps put botters away for good. But will this issue ever be squashed?
It's fun to bust the bots, especially when they're in the wilderness, but there's only so much I can do. When Jagex isn't banning them, which it seems they're not able to right now, anything I do is a drop in the ocean. And don't get me wrong, the mods do not have it easy. Jagex are in an arms race up against AI, and this wave of bots is seriously shaking up the player base. My concern is if it continues, it is a legitimate threat to RuneScape survivability in the long run.
As I can't cover that, I'll just cover the most destructive bot in RuneScape history, which is the bot known as AutoRune that was created by a programmer called Guthix. It bypassed a normal RuneScape client by communicating directly with the game server, and was able to automate tasks like mining, smithing, smelting, banking, and so on. Jagex tried to introduce better encryptions, and if the botters used keys in their program to decrypt this, then Jagex could take them down, but this wouldn't faze the man of the hour. In November 2003, AutoRune was updated so it could auto-trade. This is where 6 Feet Under would figure out a way to trigger a massive duplication exploit that flooded the economy with rare items, such as party hats. This is what almost broke the game, and due to this info being leaked, Guthix and his crew spawned in as many items as they could before Jagex would close it down. Dozens of players would flock to Varrock as they started opening crackers with anyone in town, causing party hats to flood the market. If this wasn't enough, They would also go on to spawn in Dragon Square Shields, which was one of the most expensive items in the game at the time. They would high outcome and just spawn in billions of GP crashing the market. Jagex would make a post telling players to drop all duped items so they could control this issue, and by dropping all the items, the players would bypass getting banned. Lifetime memberships were also offered to those who could inform Jagex on how this glitch started, and Dialog would email them explaining everything, to be rewarded with a lifetime ban. I mean, he was one of the guys abusing it, so it kind of makes sense. Unable to remove all the duped items and money, the economy would be ruined for years, until it started to stabilise again. Kinda. Auto Room would become public to everyone, and users would just soar. Jagex had had enough, and wanted to close this for good, and did by using a cipher called Isaac to encrypt all the data packets like never before. Jagex had finally ended the battle against the most game-breaking bot ever stick its dragon scimitar into Gillinor. It's just a shame that there's still an insane amount of botters today, but I guess we can all just be grateful that they can't break the game as bad as this did. Unless of course they're giving me all the GP, then I don't really mind. And some cool party hats. It's 2025, and old school RuneScape is more popular than ever. Could this be RuneScape's new golden age? There's been times this year that over 200,000 concurrent players have been on at peak hours. Even if they are bots, or WoW players. Yeah, you heard me correctly. The most recent trend is for WoW players to step away from the World of Warcraft and start playing RuneScape, and the community seem to love it. And it's really healthy for boosting the RuneScape players and its community. The mobile app also assists these numbers, making up nearly 40% of activity. I mean, it's quite handy. I mean, I've started playing RuneScape, as you probably gathered by doing this video, and I'm not gonna lie, being able to like play on my phone when I'm like walking the dog and that just makes it so much more enjoyable. Like, there's nothing worse when you have to step away from a game that you're currently addicted to and you're like, I want to be grinding even if it's boring. To be able to like do that on the walk is pretty damn amazing. Like, they've done good by having a phone app, that's for sure, even if it is a little limited. Jagex now have a stronger team dedicated to giving the players what they want. Massive content updates like Valamore are still being made to this day, giving the players new bosses and adventures to stick their dragon claws into. All new content and changes made for this game must now all be sanctioned by the players, giving them a sense of power over the game that they've grown up loving for generations. Jagex isn't stopping there, now hosting official tournaments with real cash prizes, keeping the competitive scene alive and brutal. Content creators have even sculpted their channels around this game, fueling interest with fun and creative videos like Ra and Link's challenge videos, the Lumbridge Knights guides, and even Messiah's perfectly crafted PKing videos. Hey, and just a quick secret about him. I won't go too much into detail here, but I've been turning my new mining account into a beast, trying to level him up so I can try and challenge this mighty Messiah. Even though I've never PK'd before in my life, unless you want to class this. Uh-oh, there's a wizard, Harry. Uh-oh, there's a wizard, Harry. There's a freaking wizard, Harry. There's a freaking wizard. Oh, well, he's binded me. Why can't I attack him? Uh-oh. There's a freaking wizard, Harry. There's a wizard, Harry. Oh, I'm so dead. This wizard's gonna get me, Harry. I should have ate quicker. I was too busy looking at other stuff. I didn't even teleport. The wizard got me, Harry. No. In many ways, the community and kind of the company have kept the game thriving, and that's just the magic of old school RuneScape. The players decide where it goes. So I conclude, even though this unforgiving grindy experience feels like it should have died off with the launch of RuneScape 3, it's the hard grind that actually works. It respects your time, it rewards your effort, it doesn't hand you anything for free, unless you pay to win. And somehow, in a world of instant gratification and battle passes, that's what makes it feel fresh. From the ashes of RuneScape 3, to the chaos of botting, to the resurrection of the old school servers, this game has done what no one expected. It survived, it evolved, and in 2025, it stands strong, holding its head up high with only one thing to say: buying girlfriend! RuneScape is such a massive game, and I'm sure I've missed out on your favourite memory of RuneScape. So please, let me know what your favourite thing is about the history of RuneScape, and what the first skill you maxed out was. Thank you all so much for making it to the end. For those who are just here for RuneScape, I have a cool video that I've been leveling up to work on, and I'm going to try and take down the mighty Messiah in an epic rap battle of history. And for those who just love my What the Fuck Gaming series, I shall be doing a poll on the next game, as to be honest, I have so many ideas I just can't decide on what to do, so I'm going to need your help. Polls going up on Discord and YouTube. If you enjoyed this, then please leave a like and a comment so I can reward myself with a cookie.
I'm gonna kill you.
You all have been amazing, where I've just been Elwood from Not So Serious Gaming. I hope you have a great morning, evening, night, whatever time of day is. I hope you have a great one, and peace out.
The f was that?